This video podcast is brought to you by McCarter Online.
I had about, maybe 35 people in the company, and I called my old mentor from Northwestern, Alvina Krause, who had taught me everything I knew about theater, and I said, when do you think I will be ready to do Chekhov? She said, do it now. By all means, you'll learn so much from doing Chekhov. I said, well, I want to serve him well. I'm afraid. No, do it now. You'll learn. I said, okay. Well, I realized that I had twice as many people as I could use in a production, and I wanted to, because I was starting a theater, I wanted everybody in the company to be happy. So I came up with this idea of doing 2 productions of Three Sisters that we would play in alternating rep. One of which would be a traditional production, the way Chekhov has always done, the way Stanislavski did it, and the McCarter Theatre did it, with complete sets and props and everything, costumes, the whole bit. And it would alternate with a second production that would be a contemporary experimental production. And this was just at the time the 4 students had been shot at Kent State. Everything was in turmoil. It was very much like the time that Russia was going through, the period that Russia was going through when Chekhov wrote the play. So I thought it had a lot to say to us. Three Sisters. So I did the 2 plays in alternating rep, and it was very interesting because those who loved the traditional production, which included me, thought it was a pretty good production. And then there were others who really thought the experimental production was the latest thing, because it involved a rock star, the head of the drummer for the Loving Spoonful, Joe Butler, played Vershin in it. And they were all in the tie-dye uniforms because it was a contemporary version, and he came up, smoking a joint in a runway that ran right through the audience, and people were on cushions on each side, and he'd say, "Imagine what it's going to be like 100 years from now." And I passed the joint and somebody died. And Vershin and stoned, it makes perfect sense. And the kids who came to see it, got Chekhov in a way that they would never have got from a traditional production. We had an enthusiastic, group of people who loved that. So at the end of the year, at their first year at Circle Rep, we had a grant from New York State Council on the Arts, who had appreciated the traditional production very much, and they gave us $5,000, which was unheard of at the end of a first year. And we had another guy who came who was the foundation director of the Peg Sanford Foundation, whose interest was in experimental theater. And he absolutely flipped out over the experimental production, so he gave us another $5,000. So at the end of the first year, we were, rolling in, which at that time seemed like a lot of money. So we were off to a good start.
This podcast has been brought to you by McCarter Theatre in Princeton, New Jersey. For tickets, call 609-258-ARTS or visit www.mccarter.org.